Greetings from Bandung and welcome to House News. Hello and welcome to House News. In this episode, we present you the latest information coming from the House of Representatives of Indonesia. And now, let's see the headlines for today. The Working Committee on International Organizations of BKSAP conducted a visit to Batam to observe the investment climate as part of the Parliament's support for Indonesia's accession process to the OECD. A ceasefire between Israel and Iran is holding as Israel lifts emergency restrictions and Iran president declares an end to 12-day war. The impact of the Iran-Israel conflict, particularly on crude oil prices and supply, remains significant despite the conflict entering the escalation phase. The Ministry of Trade has issued a policy to ease import regulations on 10 commodities, as stipulated in Minister of Trade Regulation No. 16 of 2025. In the far east of Indonesia, in Merauke, Papua, there stands a stunning and futuristic structure known by many as the Avengers Headquarters. The Working Committee on International Organizations of BKSAP emphasized that Indonesia, especially Batam, is ready to strengthen economic cooperation as part of its effort to join international groups like BRICS and the OECD.
Member of BKSAP of the House Rahayu Saraswati Joyo Hadikusumo stated, the Working Committee aims to ensure Indonesia is well prepared to face global economic transformation and challenges. At the same time, it seeks to strengthen Indonesia's active role in international forums. Therefore, issues related to infrastructure, land ownership, and certification in Batam must be resolved immediately, considering Indonesia's strategic role as a pillar of economic stability in the Asian region.
Karena tentunya Indonesia ini sangat strategis saat ini untuk bisa menjadi salah satu pilar bukan hanya di ASEAN tapi juga di Asia dengan kondisi dunia saat ini yang terjadi secara geopolitik maupun juga ekonomi, gonjang-ganjing yang terjadi dan ketidakstabilan. Asia dan ASEAN ini bisa menjadi pilar dalam kestabilan, pilar stabilitas untuk ekonomi dunia. Jadi alangkah baiknya jika kita bisa memastikan area-area kawasan ekonomi khusus seperti yang ada di Batam ini memang siap dan betul-betul bukan hanya secara infrastruktur tapi tentunya peraturan perizinan sistem untuk memastikan bahwa investasi yang masuk ke Indonesia ini aman dan bisa menjadi daya tarik tentunya.
The finding from this working visit will be reported to the House leadership and will be used as a basis for follow-up actions at the legislative and executive levels. These efforts are part of a strategy to enhance Indonesia's competitiveness in the global economic arena. From Batam, Riau Island, Julian, TVA Parliament reports.
Following the agreement of ceasefire between Iran and Israel, Commission 1 reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening coordination with the government regarding geopolitical developments, especially in the Middle East.
Vice Chairperson of Commission 1 Sukamta mentioned Commission 1 of the House is currently coordinating with the House leadership to explore the possibility of holding an audience with President Prabowo in order to obtain clarity on the current directions of Indonesia's foreign policy. The meeting is expected to focus on discussions around global geopolitical conditions, including the potential impact of the Iran-Israel conflict.
Kita baru akan koordinasikan dengan Pak Dasko, Pak Ketua DPR, Wakil Ketua DPR, untuk peluang kita untuk menghadap Pak Presiden ya, untuk kita dapat update tentang perjalanan beliau ke beberapa negara dan sekaligus kita mohon penjelasan beliau tentang arah politik luar negeri yang beliau sedang jalankan. Yang pokok adalah saya kira nanti kita pengen berdialog terkait dengan perkembangan dunia internasional. Penutupan Selat Hormuz belum terjadi dan rasanya sih kemungkinannya kecil. Dan saya percaya Pak Presiden sudah melakukan antisipasi itu ketika ke Rusia misalnya.
Furthermore, Sukamta explained Commission 1 also plans to schedule a meeting with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to examine the government's anticipatory measures regarding the Iran-Israel conflict and responding to ongoing geopolitical developments and the implications for Indonesian citizens abroad. Bari Ramadana, TVR Parliament reports.
Indonesian lawmakers remind the government to mitigate the potential economic impacts, particularly fluctuation in rupiah exchange rate and the burden on fuel subsidies amid the rising tension in Middle East.
Member of Commission 1 of the House Syamsu Rizal believes this moment should be used to strengthen the domestic economy and begin reducing dependence on certain imported commodities. He urged the 2026 economic policy should prioritize empowering MSMEs and communities to promote regional economic self-reliance.
Dan berbagai macam usaha-usahanya kita termasuk bagaimana menggalakkan struktur ekonomi yang berbasis lokal resource seperti koperasi misalnya, UMKM dan seterusnya. Jadi ini adalah momentumnya kita juga untuk mengkonsolidasi kemampuan ekonomi kita lebih kuat. Makanya berbagai kebijakan didorong untuk melaksanakan itu. Bagaimana percepatan koperasi merah putih, bagaimana pemberdayaan UMKM, bahkan sampai pada kebijakan strategis termasuk sektor pertambangan yang mesti bermitra dengan entitas ekonomi lokal. Jadi banyak sekali kebijakan-kebijakan yang boleh dibilang blessing in disguise ini sebenarnya. Jadi karena kita mentok di luar, kita konsolidasi ke dalam. Dan itu diminta kepada seluruh entitas di negara ini termasuk pemerintah daerah untuk melakukan hal yang sama. Untuk bagaimana merescheduling belanjanya tetapi pada belanja-belanja yang jauh lebih efisien dan memiliki multiplier efek yang untuk pemberdayaan masyarakat.
On the other hand, Syamsu Rizal acknowledged achieving the 8 economic growth target will not be easy, especially amid ongoing global uncertainty. Ken Antemi, TVR Parliament report.
When we return, we bring you more updates from Commission 6 of the House, only on House News. Commission 6 believes the government's plan to ease import regulations must be carefully evaluated. Without careful oversight, easing import restriction could harm domestic industry, including textiles, electronics, and small-scale manufacturers.
Member of Commission 6 of the House Inanga Senantara said, without firm legal protections, relaxing import regulations could negatively impact domestic industries. Commission 6 proposed the revocations of Minister of Trade Regulation Number 8 as it was seen to harm local industries by easing import restrictions. The regulation particularly affected the textile sectors, which face intensified competitions from imported products.
Kenapa kebijakan ini sampai dilonggarkan lagi? Padahal dulu Komisi 6 mengusulkan agar peraturan perdagangan nomor 8 kalau nggak salah ya. Itu ya segera dicabut karena kita sudah rasakan sekarang terutama di produk tekstil banyak usaha-usaha tekstil kita yang tutup. Gimana mungkin kita bisa bersaing dengan produk-produk mereka kalau kita tidak dilindungi oleh negara kita sendiri. Ini persoalan. Sehingga harapannya kebijakan itu benar-benar untuk kepentingan masyarakat, bukan untuk kepentingan-kepentingan tertentu.
In addition, Inanga emphasized before more relaxing import policies are implemented, the government must first consult with key stakeholders, including the House of Representatives and local governments. These discussions are to ensure legal safeguards for domestic industries, such as import controls or incentive programs to support local businesses. Bondan Enranga, TVR Parliament Report.
0.5% tax on e-commerce transactions is seen as a reasonable policy as it is aligned with current tax regulations applied to MSMEs. However, Commission 11 underlined the importance of properly informing online sellers across digital platforms.
This tax regulation specifically target businesses operating on digital platforms, including imported goods sold through e-commerce channels. Member of Commission 11 of the House Eric Hermawan believes the 0.5% tax rate remains highly competitive compared to other countries and is unlikely to significantly affect retail prices.
Harusnya pemerintah memberikan jeda, misalnya 6 bulan atau 1 tahun, untuk mensosialisasikan kepada pengusaha platform digital seperti Shopee, seperti Bukalapak, dan juga mengumpulkan beberapa masyarakat yang berdagang di e-commerce tadi. Sehingga tidak ada kejutan bagi pedagang e-commerce untuk dikenakan potongan sebesar 0,5%. Saya rasa ekonomi digital tidak akan mati dan bahkan bertumbuh pesat. 0,5% saya rasa tidak terlalu besar dan ini menurut saya cukup kompetitif.
Moreover, Eric encouraged the government to provide incentive for digital entrepreneurs, including easier access to loans through the People's Business Credit Program or other flexible financing schemes. Commission 11 will continue engaging with the Ministry of Finance to ensure smooth implementations and broad public acceptance of this policy. Bari Ramadana, TVR Parliament reports.
Around 10,000 villages and more than 1 million households in Indonesia still lack access to electricity. Therefore, Commission 12 supports the village electrification program to accelerate fair electricity distribution, especially in treaty areas.
During a hearing meeting with the Directorate General of Electricity and State-Owned Electric Company or PLN, chairpersons of Commission 12 of the House, Bambang Patijaya, emphasized PLN must take President Prabowo Subianto's instruction seriously to ensure all villages in Indonesia gain access to electricity within the next 4 years. He pointed out this mandate should be followed with clear planning and strong executions. This requires strong synergy between PLN and the Ministry of Finance to secure adequate budget support for electricity financing and the new electrical installation program.
Kami berharap bahwa di Tenggatrik, Kementerian SDM dapat berkoordinasi lebih lanjut kepada Kementerian Keuangan, tolong anggaran untuk pembiayaan distrik desa dan BPBL ini dapat didukung sehingga kita tidak berhenti kepada narasi bahwa ini kita ingin selesaikan masalahnya, tapi anggaran tidak tersedia. Bahwa Komisi 12 mendukung tentang program ini sehingga kemudian problem listrik di dalam 4 tahun ke depan betul-betul 100% clear. Tidak lagi menjadi satu masalah.
Furthermore, Commission 12 reminded stakeholders without sufficient funding, the goal of universal electricity access will remain only a discourse. The new electrical installation program is confirmed to continue in 2025 with a target of reaching 100,000 households. This expansion of electricity access is expected to make Indonesia achieve 100% electrifications. Handoko, TVR Parliament reports.
After the break, we have interesting stories from Papua, so stay tuned to House News. In the far east of Indonesia, in Merauke, Papua, stands a futuristic monument often called the Avengers Headquarters. More than just a visual icon, the structure represents the aspiration of Indonesian youth.
Designed by renowned architect Yori Antar, the time capsule monument blends modern architecture with strong Papuan cultural values. The shape of the building was inspired by the traditional war tower of the Dani tribe. Its dimensions, 17 meters wide, 8 meters tall, and 45 meters long, aren't random. They symbolize Indonesia's Independence Day, 17 August 1945. Inside and around the monument, you will also find carvings that tell the story of Indonesia history, Pancasila values, and the rich culture of Papua. What makes this monument special is the time capsule stored inside it. Shaped like a large metal bowl, The capsule holds 7 major dreams from young Indonesians collected during a journey across all 34 provinces starting in 2015. These dreams include hopes for a future Indonesia with excellent human resources, free from corruptions, a global center of innovations, and a leading economic power in the Asia-Pacific region. The capsule is set to be open in 2085. More than just a monument, the site also includes a public plaza where people can gather, relax, and celebrate. The 5 main entrances are named after local tribes from South Papua. That is Marin, Muyu, Mandobo, Mapi, and Awuyu, as a tribute to cultural diversity and unity. The time capsule monument is a symbol of hope and national unity. Its location in Merauke, at the easternmost tip of the archipelago, also reminds us that development and inspirations should reach all corners of Indonesia.
In the coastal area of Muara Angke, North Jakarta, there's a very unique futsal field where it floats on the sea. This special field is built on top of neatly arranged plastic drums, keeping it stable even as the tide goes up and down.
At first, many local people were surprised and unsure about the idea. A sports field over water sounded strange, especially in a fishing village where most public facilities are quite simple. But those doubts soon disappeared. Today, the floating futsal field has become a favorite spot for the whole neighborhood. The field isn't just for futsal matches. It's also used for group workouts, especially by mothers, and as a place where kids play in the afternoon. It has become a lively, joyful space that brings people together and builds a strong sense of community. One of the coolest things about the field is how it moves gently with the sea, creating a fun and different experience while staying safe and steady. People from outside Muara Angke even visit to try it out. The rental fee is affordable, and the money is used to keep the field cleaned and in good shape. For the people living in Muara Angke, this field is more than just a place to play sports. It's a symbol of hope and creativity. In a crowded area with limited land, this floating field proves that with care and smart thinking, people can turn challenges into something positive.
Singapore's Changi Airport has been named the world's best airport for food, featuring over 300 dining options ranging from traditional hawker dishes to international cuisine. It proved that airports can offer much more than just a place to pass through.
Singapore's Changi Airport has once again earned global praise, this time for its exceptional culinary scene. Beating out top contenders like Tokyo and Zurich, Changi has been named the best airport in the world for food lovers, offering a dining experience that is diverse, high quality, and surprisingly affordable. According to a report from the research team at CEO for Restaurants, it looked at different airports around the world, especially at food prices, restaurant ratings, the number of eateries per 1 million travelers, and other criteria. What's special is the consistency of its flavors and reasonable pricing. From local delights like laksa and Hainanese chicken rice to international favorites such as sushi, pasta, and plant-based meals, Changi offers something for every palate. Popular names like Toast Box and Paradise Dynasty alongside hawker-style outlet, turning the airport into a true food destination. Beyond the menu, Changi's atmosphere and design add to the appeal. Dining areas are spacious, stylish, and comfortable, giving travelers a chance to relax and enjoy a quality meal. Renowned for its innovative facilities, Changi is also home to duty-free stores, restaurant and coffee stops, with modern architecture.
And that's House News special episode from Bandung. Thank you for watching everyone and have a good day.